Seat with Penzola. Outside of being your host, I am a mother, I'm a wife, I am a coach, I'm a mentor, I study as well, and I thrive in my career at this point. And this is a show where we're going to be discussing a lot of hot topics, which is topics that are related to deconstructing some societal norms, some of the unwritten rules that we follow as society. This is a show to look out for, and I will be putting some of our favorite people, my favorite people, on the hot seat, and just to get their views on what do these unwritten rules mean for them? You know, how do we evolve and we create our new norms as a society in 2020? Today on the hot seat, I have Anna, and so a career woman doing well for herself in one of the big organizations in the country. And Anna will be joining us and discussing discrimination of women in the workplace. Hi Anna, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Welcome to the hot seat with Penzola.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored.
Cool. So let's get right into it. Tell me about your experience of the concept of discrimination against women in the workplace, and talk to me about the different forms that you see happen within that workplace.
All right, no, great. So when I think of discrimination against women in the workplace, I see it as such a broad topic. Because as women, we are different. We can't all, discrimination doesn't mean all of us being discriminated the same way. Because if you look at, let me just say, we are all discriminated no matter race, color, and all of that.
Okay.
However, there's levels to that discrimination.
Okay.
First of all, as women, we don't earn the same amount of money as men do. There's a statistic to say women earn about 75% of what men do.
Okay.
And when it comes to women of color, that number even drops lower to about 60%.
Okay.
And that's already point number one, where women are discriminated. Furthermore, in the workplace, women are meant to, they look at us and they expect us to behave like men.
Mm.
And when you do, it's like, why are you being a bitch?
Yeah.
So it becomes tricky.
Yeah.
Who are you supposed to be? And I remember I once had a conversation with one of my bosses when my first management position. I had this great boss. He was a white male. And he had just gone through a course called Unconscious Bias. And after that course, him and I would have open discussions. And since I was very fresh in a management position at that time, he said to me, I can see there's some traits of that whole cultural norm that black women are raised to be. That whole, you have to respect your elders. You have to respect men. And he's like, I can see it creeping up. It's not obvious, but in a meeting, you will know exactly what's going on and you will know exactly what to say. But somebody will just be waffling about rubbish, especially a male figure. And you wouldn't necessarily interject, even though you know exactly what the real answer is. You'd sort of allow him his space, and it's sort of that thing where, that respect thing. I'm going to allow him his space, and I will sort of shy myself away.
So not really express your opinion at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And after we had that discussion, I was sort of like, I appreciate that. I appreciate you pointing it out. And let's have more chats, about this. And working with him, I grew a lot in my career.
But did that now change? So after he raised that, did it change in terms of how you then behaved in the boardroom if somebody said that something that you didn't necessarily believe in? Were you a bit more bold in challenging what they're saying?
Dramatically.
Yeah, okay.
And it didn't just change overnight.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I didn't just rock up the next day and
and then you decided, I'm going to go and challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It needed coaching.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that we undermine when it comes to coaching. I had to sit with a coach, and luckily we had a coach internally.
Yeah.
And we were able to unpack those issues. And that's when I was able to understand myself and to say,
I can do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And from then on, I knew that every meeting I need to go to, I have to prepare. So that whatever point I have to know it 100%.
We can back it up with facts.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's another issue. Men walk into meetings
without being prepared.
they don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and they don't have any facts.
Nothing.
And you have to have facts.
I have to have facts.
Wow.
I come there, 1 hour meeting. I don't really want it to last that whole hour because I know my facts.
Yeah.
I want to get to the point of it and I want my outcome. But they waffle along and it's like, now I have to respect it because we are taught that you have to massage.
Would you then
women's
say
ego.
that you walk into that meeting feeling in the back foot already?
100%.
Now here you are, but you have to come in and defend this opinion or defend this thing that you're coming in with. What does that do to you? Like, what does it take for you to be able to be in that position and be confident in actually going in and defending that?
So number one, what it does to me, it's not a fun position to be in.
Yeah.
Because you feel that in every role you're in, you have to prove yourself.
Yes.
And for your other question, in terms of where do you get that confidence from, you just have to pull it out from somewhere. And you know, as women in corporate industries, naturally as women, we always feel like, do I belong here?
There's that question, there's that internal questioning of, do I even deserve this position?
Yes.
You know.
And ultimately, you realize that you do deserve this position. I recently completed my honors in industrial and organizational psychology.
Yeah.
And some of the learnings I took from that honors is that women always have to have the next qualification. I've already got 2 qualifications. This is my next qualification.
Yeah. And yet you still feel that you need some more in order for you to go to the next level. Yeah.
And and we feel, and the thing is, because of this whole affirmative action, employment equity, they make it seem like you're only here because you're a number. And
I've experienced that.
And at the end of the day, I'm a number out of how many? How many women?
So you're a number that is competent. So whilst the criteria goes in your favor, but you're a competent number.
You know?
Yeah.
How did I jump over thousands and thousands of women to be where I am? Does it mean anyone can just be there? Obviously not, because we passed a lot of women along the way. And even those women that we left behind, it's also our duty to go back and fetch them.
Yeah.
Because what I've seen in the workplace, there's safety in numbers. And especially this issue of equal pay for equal work.
Yes.
There are women that earn a substantial amount of money, but they would feel like, no, I've got this. I don't need to fight that cause.
Because they've arrived.
They've arrived.
They're going to have to sacrifice a few of their relationships to go fetch.
100%.
Yeah.
And that is the fear with a lot of women, why they cannot attack these issues head on. Because our mothers and our grandmothers didn't want to attack these issues head on because they were comfortable. And it's like, if I attack this issue, I'm now going to put myself in the limelight. And they will start assessing, do I belong here?
Talk to me about the dialogue that you think is taking place within the workplace. And if any of that, those discussions are transforming into actions, regarding this issue.
Okay. In terms of just dialogues amongst groups of people, I don't think that's happening. And the problem with that is that we're not getting different views to the issue. Because obviously, from a man's perspective, I would like to understand why they are like that. They could have a reason. Obviously, there are traditional norms and cultural norms that create these barriers and unconscious bias. So, from a woman's perspective, we don't know how other women are feeling. But from my view, obviously, a lot of us are feeling the same way. But in terms of this whole thing of being respectful is obviously, you should be respectful.
Correct, yeah.
But being submissive, that's another thing that's questionable.
That's on another level.
Yeah. Because we are colleagues.
Yeah.
Why do I need to submit to my colleague?
Probably at the same level, probably doing the same job.
You know?
Anyway, and let's now bring it back to where else do you see this happening? Is this a type of discrimination against women that only takes place in the workplace, or do we see it happening in our communities, like wherever we are? I don't know, related to anything else that is part of being a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see that anywhere else?
No, definitely. As women, we've got this triple oppression, if I can say.
Yeah.
Where it oppresses us in gender, race, and I forgot the third one.
No, it's fine.
But anyways, definitely women are oppressed in a multifaceted way.
Yeah.
So when it comes to oppression, women, the face of poverty becomes a woman.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary because we are already underpaid, and now society wants to brand us as poverty. Inequality becomes a woman. And a lot of people, when you speak to a man about gender equality, they sort of say, oh yeah, no, women have got managerial roles, women are in the office, and then you bring up white privilege. And
then it's a different story.
It's a different story. It's like, yeah, there's white privilege, it exists.
Oh.
But
gender equality doesn't exist.
No.
Okay, all right.
And then we start talking about patriarchy, and it's like, no, women are working. Then once you start merging the two, it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
That the same way women are oppressed by men, it's the same way we see white privilege. And on another perspective, us women, as I said previously, you can't classify women as homogeneous. We're not a homogeneous group because we've got white women, we've got women of color. Even as women of color, black women, you can't even classify us as the same because you've got light in complexion women and you've got dark in complexion women. We are not viewed the same.
No, not at all. I mean,
just watch your favorite TV story. The wife is light-skinned with curly hair. The husband is dark-skinned. If the wife is dark-skinned, the husband is white. To sort of put in that mix so that the daughter comes out light-skinned with curly hair.
I didn't actually see it that way, but basically what you're saying is that there's segregation even in the women themselves. There's segregation even in the same color women, or women that are considered to be same color. Yeah. Because I guess that's why we have the term yellow bone.
Yeah.
Why else do we have it?
Yeah.
It's a description of a type of woman who is different to a dark-skinned. And what does this do to our society? I mean, what does it do to the beauty industry? What does it say if you have a light-skinned and a dark-skinned woman?
It makes women that are dark-skinned want to be light-skinned. It makes women that are dark-skinned feel more inferior. I'm a dark-skinned woman, but when we look at models, my color dark skin is not good enough. You have to be even more darker, like Alex Wack.
Yeah, she's considered to be hot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a strange situation.
Yeah.
But it needs to go back to us women acknowledging ourselves and acknowledging each other. We need to be the ones that are comfortable in our own skin, because nobody else can tell you who you are. You should be able to look into the mirror and say, I'm beautiful. And for me, growing up in a family where my mother's light-skinned, my sister's light-skinned, and I happen to be dark-skinned because my dad is dark-skinned and my brother's dark-skinned. It became tricky because everywhere we go, they'd be like, oh, your first daughter, who's my sister, she's so beautiful and skinny. And then you're like,
and like, yo, okay.
I'm just there.
Yeah, you're just there, like this dark-skinned child. Like maybe you're not part of the family. Maybe you're just another cousin somewhere.
I'm just there. And the lucky thing with me is that I had a father who kept telling me that I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Had it not been for that, I could have grown up thinking that I'm not beautiful. And even today, I've got light-skinned friends, beautiful friends, that I'll walk into a restaurant with him and all the men will look at them.
So it's that color thing as well.
That color
the lighter you are, the better people think you look.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't make me feel otherwise because I grew up knowing that I was beautiful. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Anyways, it's very, it's such a tricky situation.
So do you think that if you hadn't had a father that was quite reinforcing the fact that you're beautiful, even though you're dark-skinned, would that have, would you have turned out a different lady today, or would you be less confident around
Absolutely.
how you look?
Absolutely.
So yet we need men to still tell us that you are beautiful.
Women and boys need fathers. They need their father figures. A wife, a mother is definitely needed, obviously, in the household, but a father figure is even more needed because they are the ones that build your self-esteem. Had it not been for that, I could have allowed other people to define me. And I don't allow anyone to define me. I know who I am. When I look into the mirror, I know who I am.
Well, you certainly look like you know who you are. I mean, so I think for me, so how do we help? How do we evolve this? How do we change this norm today? That, my assumption is that there's not many women that are like that are dark skinned and as confident as you are, because they may not have had. How do we, moving forward, raise our daughters and change that, and so that we move away from this dark skin, and I mean, people like Miss Universe are obviously shifting the dial there, because she's dark skinned and she's got natural hair, so she's really helping us in that direction. But how else do you think we could contribute to this?
I think even myself, I'm not 100% confident because I also have my own
insecurity.
Yes,
around whatever. Okay.
I have my own insecurity. But we have to be able to speak out. It's the same way in corporate organization where women need to band together. And we need to be able to have those conversations and speak out and know who we are. This thing of mentorship and coaching is also a very important thing, because younger women won't know what's what unless somebody guides them into it. And we also need to make sure that we've got the right people in positions of power and positions where people influence. So when it comes to magazines, when it comes to advertising, if you've got the right people of influence, that's why we keep preaching women empowerment. It's not so that we can just have a chunk of women sitting there
around,
you know what I mean,
sipping champagne somewhere.
It's not about that.
Driving fancy cars.
It's not about that. It's not about you when you're there and then you just follow your own agenda. Women empowerment means more of us being there, so we are able to influence the status quo. And we're able to shift things around. If we are there in the right positions, especially even in financial industries, we've got a lot of women that are struggling and that need even micro loans and so forth. We would have the power to create such opportunities for more women. And having more women in positions where they are leading advertising companies, they're leading these marketing strategies. We could have more darker women being shown, in these magazines, in TV programs, to show that they're actually beautiful, which they are. Even the ones that are even more darker than me. And to show that light-skinned women are also beautiful. There's this thing where people say, oh, she's just light-skinned. What do you mean she's just light-skinned? Just because,
what does that mean?
Are you trying to make yourself feel better?
Because if you're lighter, you're better. What is that?
She's beautiful, even though she's light-skinned. She's beautiful, even though she's dark-skinned. And we, as women, we are the ones that we have to start with ourselves. Miss Universe is breaking a barrier.
She is, definitely.
But it's not enough. One person is not enough. It starts with her, obviously, for us to start having more conversations like this. And it goes with the more dialogues we have. The more we can open people's minds, and this platform is actually such a great way for us to start that.
Cool. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thanks.
A good friend of mine.
Thanks,
I think this topic is one of my topics that's really close to my heart, and that's really something that I think we should be working together to try and break the bridge, or bring, take away the gap. I mean, I'm light-skinned, you're dark-skinned, we're both beautiful. I mean, we are hot, and we are on the hot seat, right? So, thank you so much for coming. Let's cheers.
Penzola.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me, Anna, today on the Hot Seat with Penzola. I think the conclusion of today's discussion is very clear that patriarchy does perpetuate gender inequality. So whilst we want white people to recognize that they have white privilege, men must also recognize that they are sitting in a better position, they are sitting in an advantaged position over women in the workspace, in the community at large, and this topic will remain as a hot topic until we start seeing some change and transformation. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Hot Seat with Penzola. Please click on the subscribe button. We welcome any comments, any suggestions. You can contact us also via email on hotseatwithpenzola@gmail.com. It's been a real thing.